This is CJSW's Municipal election coverage, your audio guide to Calgary's 2025 election. This series gives you interviews with candidates running for office, exploring the people, policies, and issues that will shape Calgary's future. We're broadcasting from CJSW 90.9 FM, located at the University of Calgary, on the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. Before we begin, we would like to remind listeners that the views expressed in this podcast are those of the candidates and the interview subjects, and not those of CJSW or its staff. Where urban vibrancy meets riverside charm, Ward 8 is a central slice of Calgary defined by walkable neighbourhoods, transit access, and downtown connectivity. Ward 8 covers Calgary's inner city, straddling parts of the southwest and northwest, with the Bow River running through the north. Ward 8 is at the center of densification debates, sparking conversation on multi-family homes, green space access, and new developments. The communities included in Ward 8 are Altadore, Bankview, Beltline, Britannica, Cliff Bungalow, Currie Barracks, Elbow Park, Elboya, Erlton, Garrison Woods, Killarney, Glengarry, Lincoln Park, Lower Mount Royal, Mission, Parkhill, Richmond, Rideau Park, Rosscarrock, Roxboro, Rutland Park, Scarboro, Sunalta, Shaganappi, and Upper Mount Royal. We went directly to citizens of Ward 8 to ask them what they're feeling this election season.
Bike lanes, maybe. There's very good bike lanes once you get into downtown, but sort of along Elbow Drive area and the main strips like that, it's kind of hard to ride your bike around there, but overall it's a great place to live.
Close to everything and quiet. Yeah, a little listening would be good. So, yeah, it's just not lip service as far as that. Yeah, so they say they're listening, but yeah, never happens. So, yeah, a little more back and forth with the communication. So, again, don't get me going.
We've heard what's on the minds of Ward 8 residents, so let's turn to the people hoping to represent them. We reached out to nominated candidates and trustees running in the 2025 general election to participate in this podcast. The following interviews feature only those candidates who responded and were available to participate within our production timeline. To ensure consistency, we selected about 1 minute of each candidate's response to include in this episode. The audio is presented unedited, and we've aimed to fairly represent each participant's message and voice. We remain committed to providing space for all voices and encourage voters to learn more about every candidate by visiting electionscalgary.ca. Since his election in 2021, Courtney Walcott has represented Ward 8 at City Hall. He joins a number of other councillors in making the decision to not seek re-election in the fall. Without an incumbent candidate in the running, we have new faces entering the race in Ward 8. It's time to hear from those candidates themselves. We asked each of them the same set of questions to help you compare their priorities, values, and vision for Ward 8. On social services. What do you believe is the city's role in supporting vulnerable Calgarians through social services such as mental health support and harm reduction? From independent candidate Nathaniel Schmidt.
So I think the City of Calgary has two roles that complement each other. First off, we can be an enabler. So by working with community partners through, say, the Community Safety Grant, or coordinating between the services that Calgary is able to provide and those other community providers, we can deliver the necessary supports to vulnerable populations. And then the second way we can support them is through policies and directives that would directly affect the emergency services and the types of services that we have under our control or jurisdiction. So, for example, the Calgary Police Service, the Transit Peace Officers, community social workers, and other types of programming that would involve public spaces and things like that, that by harmonizing those two things and making them work together.
From independent candidate Miguel Cortinez.
Well, I think it's very important. All the situation that we have in Calgary regarding homelessness, I think is very, very critical. And I know there are different issues regarding people that needs treatment just to be, well, in the Summit Center in downtown, for example, Beltline area. I have talked to some residents about how to manage properly the crisis of people that needs the support of the community, basically.
Running as an independent, Kent Hare.
The city has a real responsibility to help those citizens in vulnerable situations. We have 3,000 unhoused individuals in our city. We need to do a better job of leaning in on housing first. We understand that this is a program and a way that people can rebuild their lives. You can't build your life if you don't have a place to live. It also is more effective and efficient to do it, as well as it makes the neighborhood safer and better for everybody. With respect to mental health, this is a big challenge for young people and old people. We're longing for connectivity in our city, and the city should be doing whatever they can and building upon the mental health strategy that they currently have in place, ensuring that people have an ability to get the help they need.
On affordable housing, what specific policies or initiatives would you support to improve housing affordability and accessibility in Calgary? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
We can work with market developers to find solutions to, say, identify different types of building forms that would have a percentage allotted to non-market housing as part of the development process, so that we ensure that we have housing for all of these different types of communities that is not only suitable, but it's well integrated, because the thing we want to avoid is segregating types of housing into different areas, because mixed communities, it's been shown, with market and non-market housing types have the best chance to succeed.
From Miguel Cortinez.
As you know, we are experiencing a significant growth in the community. There is a lot of construction in town, but I think it needs to be a balance. We need to have all kind of housing, right, for all the different economic backgrounds. I know that many developments are for medium-sized classes, but I think more options we need to provide to another economic groups as well, and building more options, I think, is important. I attended one conference with the Housing Affordability Group, and they were talking about different alternatives, and they are right now working in creating more options for vulnerable people. So,
from Kent Hare.
Obviously, densifying our neighborhoods is very, very important. And you can see that in our zoning practices and how we continue to build up and not out. But there's a missing component that's currently in Calgary. You know, many of the homes being built right now are for $1.2 million. You have to lean in on what we can do better on. Look, we haven't built a co-op housing unit here in 40 years. Why aren't we using some city land to get some of that development up and running? Also, we have to continue with our office to housing conversion program. I think this should be expanded upon and accelerated wherever we can make this happen. It's housing for people, because we need it, and we need it in an affordable manner, and we should look at all options, even expanding things like the Calgary housing supply.
On transportation, what is your vision for improving traffic flow and public transit in your ward and across the city? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
So my ward is Ward 8, which easiest to think about is the southern part of Calgary's inner city. It's a very diverse ward and a ward with diverse needs. But it has high density and high usage of active transportation, so walking and biking, and also transit services. So we want to ensure that the need in Ward 8 is being met by frequency and service availability when it comes to buses and C-Train, and also that there are the options to access those safely and effectively if you're accessing them by foot or by bike. And so what I believe when it comes to transit and transportation generally is that choice and diversity of choice when it comes to choosing to drive, take the C-Train, take the bus, take your bike, or walk needs to be looked at in a way where they are equally supported through infrastructure and service funding.
From Miguel Cortinez.
For Calgary and how it's growing, I think having more infrastructure, including roads and all the maintenance that we need to provide to the streets, to the avenues, I think is very relevant. As you know, communities like Mardalu, for example, they are experiencing a lot of concerns about the new developments that are happening and the options for parking, the options to enter into the community. There is only two options. You can enter into Crowchild Trail or 14th Street in Mardalu, for example. And the community is growing. There are significant developments there. So we need to create the infrastructure, better roads, more options. Just people can be around.
From Kent Hare.
Every great city has great public transit. Calgary's not quite there yet, okay? I think the city had a great Green Line plan that was scuttled by Daniel Smith, but nevertheless, we need to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear and put this back on the rails. Another thing we need to do, that is my vision, that we need to expand the free fare zone in Calgary. We can go extend it down to Sunalta, Sunnyside, Bridgeland, and past the Saddle Dome. This would create a nice economic hub. I also want to see an inner city bus loop that also is run on a principle of universality. Everyone has access to it for free. And we'd pay for this by leveraging on our corporate sponsorships. We have some good rails that we could actually use in this regard, and it would actually work better and safer for everyone.
On public safety, how would you balance community safety with calls for accountability and reform in our police, fire, and emergency services? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
So when I think about public safety, I like to talk about public safety with a purpose. So what that means is that we need to listen to people in the community that are telling us they have safety concerns, whether that be when you're walking home, taking transit, or in a place in the community. So we need to provide proper training and sufficient training for peace officers, fire, and police services that allows them to respond effectively and appropriately to what's been presented to them as issues in the community. But at the same time, it's important that we address root causes. So root causes would be connected to, again, things like mental health, addictions, and general poverty, and also marginalized groups in the community that face those things more than other groups.
From Miguel Cortinez.
Infrastructure about providing more resources, right? With the Calgary firefighters, with the police as well, because our city is growing so fast. We are going to be doubling the number of people in 10 years. Right now we are around 1.6 million, and in 10 years Calgary is going to be around 3 million. But this requires more budget, more resources for the police and for the firefighter departments, just to deal with all the demands of more people in town.
From Kent Hare.
Community safety is a big reason why I'm running. I live downtown with my wife, Deanna, and we have to ensure that people are feeling safe. I have a 3-point plan on this. We need more visibility from our police and peace officers, and that includes on our LRT lines. 2, we can't arrest our way out of homelessness. We have 3,000 individuals who are currently unhoused. If we could even set a goal as council of getting 500 of them into housing, I'd like to do more, but I want to be realistic. This would be a big first step. And 3, I don't see a plan at City Hall. We need to strike a task force, legitimately looks at the issue, and comes out with a plan to make the community safer and better for everyone. And this includes our unhoused and housed citizens. We have to do better to make downtown and the inner city safer for everyone.
On environment, how would you approach environmental sustainability in Calgary, particularly around land development, waste management, and water conservation? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
So I think we need to do a better job of directing, say, new developments. If we are going to build new communities, that ahead of time we put in place the processes and the policies to protect land of high ecological value and work with home builders and developers to find a solution that allows us to protect that and allows us to build the necessary housing. When it comes to other things such as water and waste management, the composting program that is going to be expanded, that's great. That provides not only free compost to Calgarians, but it diverts a large amount of waste from the dumps here in the city, and then puts it to an effective purpose that can be used by the community. And then water quality, that again comes into protecting our river valleys so that the places where we get our water are as healthy as can be.
From Miguel Cortinez.
Critical for all of us, right? So we need to balance the growth or city and all the challenges that are with construction, for example. Right now that we are experiencing a lot of construction in the city, we need to have proper regulations where to allocate all these sediments that are coming from the construction sites. And I think it's about having the proper resources, the proper landfill management, for example, and we didn't have many construction before, but right now with all this construction, we need to create more options and spaces so that people know how to handle all these hazardous materials. So anything that comes from these construction sites.
From Kent Hare.
Climate change is real. It is the most pressing issue that is facing our citizens, not only here in Calgary, but globally. How we face this challenge has to be ever present in our land development, our water use, and how we shape and form a city hall that works for everyone. In terms of climate change, we can densify the city responsibly. How we use our land, how we continue to increase the density in our neighborhoods will stop urban sprawl, and which is more sustainable in the long run. In terms of water use, Calgary is in a position where we rely on the glaciers, and a lot of that flow that comes in here, how we conserve water, how we ensure that we're doing the best we can to use a responsibility is very, very important.
On education. While education is largely a provincial responsibility, how do you see the city collaborating with school boards to support accessible and quality education in your ward? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
So effective communication between trustees, the province, and the city is really important, because then we can identify areas that, if we have low school populations, for example, that make it onto the Calgary Board of Education list for closure, that if we know as a city that we're going to be adding people to that community, that there can be long-term strategies in place so that we don't see an effect of schools closing and then more people moving into that area. That's one very important step. I think the other thing we can do as a city is ensure that the infrastructure and services that allow children to go to and from school safely and when they reach the appropriate age independently. So that comes with, street design, bike lanes.
From Miguel Cortinez.
Challenges in education is the size of the group that are coming to school. I have talked to some neighbors in the area, and I think the main concern is about the capacity right now. I think the classrooms are very, very crowded. They told me about people with kids, 30 kids in classes, for example. And people want better education, more quality, and probably we need more facilities, more spaces for kids to take school classes. And I think that's very important. But it's related as well with the growth that we are living. More people is coming here to Calgary. We are growing, more kids go to school. So we need to create more options and obviously working with our provincial partners in this matter.
From Kent Hare.
Education is the most important thing that our citizens need. Our young people need access to high-quality schools as well in all parts of the city. I think I want to be part of a city hall that does more, not less. That means worrying about kids' education. That means ensuring walkable communities. That means ensuring safe communities. I want to see kids being able to go to school, play in their neighborhoods, and access their educational facilities. Of course, accessibility, we need this for every jurisdiction in Ward 8. Having an access to public education is really a right, and we should be working with the provincial government, not against the provincial government, ensuring that when families have a kid in a neighborhood and there's a school nearby, they have access to that school, that they're not having to take a bus or a train to get to that location. Kids need access to education close to their homes.
On arts and culture. How will you support local arts and culture as a part of Calgary's identity? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
Services make a community livable, but the arts make a city worth living in. And by encouraging a healthy arts community with accessible, affordable spaces and the opportunity to receive funding from organizations like Calgary Arts Development, then we not only support that thriving part of the community, but that also has been shown to have really beneficial economic outcomes for a city as well. So one area that I see as a need in the city today is affordable art spaces. We have a lot of larger and medium-sized art spaces that are often not affordable for up-and-coming or even established artists that we need to identify and then provide through either community partners or the Calgary Arts Development in places like C Space, that type of venue that is in places where it can succeed. That is.
From Miguel Cortinez.
With different organizations that I work with, like Casa Mexico, for example, we worked very, very closely with Calgary Arts Development, with the City of Calgary, and mainly with artists, with creators, with entrepreneurs, just to provide opportunities for the artists to thrive and to be more connected and to have more opportunities. This is one of the sectors that is more vulnerable because they have the income that they are generating basically is one of the lowest in the city. So we need to work together just to bring the artists to life and to provide more opportunities to create more sources of income for them as well.
From Kent Hare.
Arts and culture is how we share our stories and connect with each other. People are longing for connection. It helps with mental health. It helps with community building. It helps people with disabilities and people of different opinions and thoughts get their stories out. I want to see the Calgary Arts development budget protected. It's $21 million, and it needs to be part of our city going forward. Also, we have great things in Ward 8, like the Marteloup Sea Space. There's plans in the books to put one near Ward 8, right at the old Ward 8 City Fire Hall. I think this is an excellent opportunity to expand arts, give people a creative outlet. Also has artist and residence units above it. I would be fully in support of expanding it down to that Ward 8 or that fire hall.
On community, in what ways do you try to give back to your community? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
I was a musician before I became a defense lawyer, which is my job now. So I was a board member of a small string orchestra and another performing arts group that has been part of my life for just about 15 years now. And so that was something where I contributed to the operations and the governance of those things, and then transitioned into serving on the boards and volunteering for conservation groups as well. And as part of that, my wife and I led garbage pickups for a couple of years in natural areas and parks around the city that we then used the funds the donations that we received as part of that to then donate back to the conservation groups. And so it was that spirit that brought me to want to put my name forward for this role, because it's important to me that I've been given a lot of opportunity in my own life, that I give some of that energy back to help out areas of need in our city and the surrounding region.
From Miguel Cortinez.
In three principles. One is to create. We are all creators. We create something. We create life. We create artists. We create work. We create buildings, whatever. In the connection side as well, because we need to connect it to each other and just to attend different networking events. It can create opportunities for people to thrive as well. And finally, the collaboration. I think we need to work in collaboration. I think this is a very, very important principle. We cannot achieve bigger things if we don't work together in collaboration with another people.
From Kent Hare.
I have long believed that public service is in my blood. When I first became disabled, I got involved in student politics. I got involved in other not-for-profits. I currently sit on the board of the Cerebral Palsy Association. I have served as a board member of the Alliance for the Common Good, an organization of unions and churches that is actively building the city and playing a big role in shaping public policy. I have stepped away from that board to run for city council. But nevertheless, working in our nonprofit agencies is something that I've enjoyed very much, and it will shape and grow my experiences at City Hall. In fact, I think we should have a roundtable of not-for-profits actually advising and directing City Council. Places like the Alex, the United Way, other organizations like that can give a valuable insights into what many of our citizens are facing.
We note that Indigenous groups have their own bodies of governance, but as we are on shared land, we dedicated a question to decolonization. What is your understanding of Calgary's responsibilities under the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action? From Nathaniel Schmidt.
So Calgary took the lead as a municipality in addressing reconciliation through the White Goose Flying report. And there's calls to action in that report that in many ways mirror the calls to action from Truth and Reconciliation. So as a city, we share this land, which is on the traditional territories of several nations, and we need to be aware of that relationship and put in place programs and policies that help that relationship flourish and lift up members of the surrounding nations and communities that have called this place home. since time immemorial. And so with White Goose flying, what I would like to see is right now we've taken a lot of steps and accomplished some of the calls to action related to awareness, but now we need to take more practical steps that provide supports to the Indigenous members of our community here.
From Miguel Cortinez.
A great responsibility to work together with the indigenous communities. So I have a point here. I think I attended different events, and obviously we always make the opening ceremonies, right, with the traditional acknowledgement to the land. But I think it's important just to create this acknowledgement with a real commitment, right? Sometimes I have seen that we just read whatever is there in the acknowledgement, but I think we need to have a real commitment and try to understand more the history of where is coming all these our traditions and our lands. And I know that Mount Royal sometimes in my Royal University they have some kind of program just to educate ourselves a little bit about the relationship with indigenous communities, and I think that's very important too.
From Kent Hare.
I was part of the Liberal government that embraced the 93 calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation document. I think it's important that we understand that we are all treaty people. We live, work, and play on Treaty 7 land, ensuring that we have a place for Indigenous people to gather. And I think an announcement really recently came out that they were looking at a place at Confluence, which I fully support. And understanding that we have to ensure that our Indigenous people, in fact, all newcomers, or not newcomers, all people in Calgary have access to high quality arts, entertainment, an ability to build their lives is something that I'll lean in on. There is no doubt that we have to follow through in the city's way on our truth and reconciliation commitments.
Finally, we gave each candidate a moment to share any closing remarks. From Nathaniel Schmidt.
Okay, so I'm running for city council because I believe in the ability of government and local government specifically to be a positive force in people's lives and to be able to lift up everybody so that no matter how much money you have, no matter how you identify in a different community or with yourself, that municipal government should be a force for good. And I want to be part of a municipal government that is providing positive impact to my community. Public service has been something that's been very important to me from the time that I myself graduated from university and was working. And again, I've been given a lot of opportunities in my own life, and I want to take those opportunities and work as hard as I can to be able to give that back and be a force for positive change.
From Miguel Cortinez.
Well, I'm very excited to be part of this candidacy, basically, to be a consul for Great in our city. I have been a community builder all my life. Since I was very young, I was organizing tournaments, soccer tournaments, marathons, book clubs, and when I arrived to Calgary 23 years ago, we founded Casa Mexico in many years ago, just to support community. And I have been a community builder all my life, so this is a great opportunity for me just to return to Calgary what is giving me to me. And I love Calgary; it's a great city, and I see a great opportunities for the future of our city. So,
from Kent Hare.
Well, my name is Kent Hare, and I'm running as an independent, accessible, and experienced municipal councillor. No one running in Ward 8 has my experience. I've been a 2-term MLA as well as a member of Parliament. I can hit the ground rolling. My true joy in life is working on complex problems that are people-focused. and building a sense of community while you go about your work. I will always hustle, I will always listen, and I will always ensure that I am putting my best foot forward at City Hall and working on behalf of the people I represent. In terms of accessibility, this campaign I've already done 60 coffees on the corner with my dad in the morning from 7 to 8:30 in the morning. I've done those back in my political career going back to 2006. These will continue. It's a great way to be out in the morning, to talk with people, allowing them an opportunity to meet with me and share with their hopes and dreams, not only for a better Ward 8, but for a better Calgary.
That wraps up our conversations with your ward candidates. We hope their insights help you feel more informed heading into the 2025 general election. Now, we're shifting our focus to another important group of elected officials, school board trustees. Trustees play a critical role in shaping the direction of public education. They're responsible for setting priorities, approving budgets, and making decisions that impact students, families, and communities across their school jurisdictions. While their work often happens behind the scenes, it has a direct effect on the quality of education in Calgary. Just like councillors, trustees are elected during the municipal election. To find out which board you vote for, whether it's the Calgary Board of Education, Calgary Catholic School District, or another publicly funded board, you can visit electionscalgary.ca and use the Where Do I Vote tool. We reached out to all nominated trustee candidates running in this ward, inviting them to participate in this podcast. The interviews you're about to hear include only those candidates who responded and were available within our production timeline. To keep things fair and concise, we've selected about 1 minute from each candidate's response. The audio is presented unedited, and we've done our best to ensure every participant's voice is clearly and accurately represented. Let's now hear from the trustee candidates running in this ward. What are your top 3 priorities for Calgary schools, and how do you plan to address them during your term? Running as a public school board trustee candidate, John Nishimura.
Well, my top 3 priorities would A, be funding. School fees are far too high, and there is a waiver you can apply for through Calgary Board of Education, but I think that the annual income for the household is too low to qualify for that. So I'd like to get that raised up a bit. I want to try to address the bullying issues that have been constant in public schooling since I went to public school way back, and making a safe environment for all students, regardless of their family situation and their identity and who they are and where they come from.
Running as a public school board trustee candidate, Susan Vukadinovich.
My number 1 priority is that we need funding that keeps up with the growth that we've had at the Calgary Board of Education. School boards across Alberta have had to deal with flat funding for the past 6 years. In the meantime, the price of everything has gone up. And this means that we've had 6 straight years of doing more with less, and it's not sustainable in the long term. We have some of the best outcomes in the country at the Calgary Board of Education, and the way to protect and invest in that is for funding to be brought up to the average level that we see in the rest of the country. And in order to bring per student funding up to the level in Alberta that we see in the rest of the country, we would have to see the provincial government increase funding for K-12 education across the entire province by $1 billion at current enrollment levels. So that is the gap that we have right now. So that is my number 1 issue, is we need a board of trustees that can advocate successfully with the provincial government, that can make the business case with the provincial government that Alberta's prosperity depends on an increase to the student funding formula in Alberta.
Running in the Calgary Catholic School District for Wards 6 and 8, Lori Iavanelli.
My top 3 priorities for Calgary Catholic School students would be funding, classroom complexity, and infrastructure. Regarding funding, the goal would be to secure equitable and sustainable funding for Alberta students. Our classrooms today are quite complex, and the goal there would be to provide supports to meet student needs in today's increasingly complex classrooms. Finally, regarding infrastructure, our schools are currently at 85% capacity. Basically, our schools are all full. Calgary Catholic needs new schools, and the goal is to secure new school builds in our overcrowded classrooms. During my tenure as a Calgary Catholic School Board trustee, I have, along with my team, secured equitable enrollment-based funding to ensure sustainability and fairness. So the current funding model has been changed because of the great advocacy that was done with our board, and that has led to more equitable numbers to meet student needs.
How will you ensure equitable access to quality education for students across all communities, including those from marginalized or underserved backgrounds? From John Nishimura.
So I just want to see more community. I believe that whether you're the star quarterback on the football team or you're the third clarinet player in the grade 7 band, you all need a safe environment. You could be in the chess club. I think that creating community within the schools would help with that. Maybe some outreach that is mandatory for doing those extracurricular activities. Like 2 people from each of those extracurricular groups get together and do a food drive or something for marginalized people.
From Susan Vukadinovich.
I am proud that at the CBE we accept every single student and that we serve every student every day. And I see this when I go visit schools, when I meet with parents at parent councils in the evenings, when I'm at high school graduations. That is the core of what CBE is and does, is that we provide equitable access to every single student. So what I would do to ensure that is just reassure the voters of Calgary that is a commitment that I hold strongly to my heart. It is a commitment that I already see playing out at the CBE. There's always room for improvement, but we have to start with the starting point that the CBE is the school board in Calgary that will accept every single student. There is no student who is turned away. We will always find a spot for every student. And I'm very proud of some of the breadth and depth of programs that we offer at the CBE.
From Lori Iavanelli.
We as trustees are elected in our wards, so I would be the trustee representing wards 6 and 8. But when we sit and come together as a board of trustees, a group of 7 voices representing the entire city, as well as Cochrane, Airdrie, and Chestermere, we represent every single student across the district. So currently we have 64,000 students in Calgary Catholic, and the decisions that we make will impact every single student, regardless of socioeconomic background or where they live. The decisions, like I said, budgetary, infrastructure, wellness, are about every single child. And our 4 board priorities are faith formation, Indigenous education, student wellness, and student success. And we gear our decisions around those 4 priorities, mainly so that every one of the 64,000 students across the district can achieve student success, as different as it is for every single student.
How will you engage with parents, teachers, and students, and the broader community to ensure transparency and responsiveness in decision-making? From John Nishimura.
There it's not as easy as it sounds to be a trustee. There's certain things that, like, I can't even just show up at a school. I have to be invited to a school to go visit them. So the school administrators have to go through the superintendent of the area, and the superintendent has to come to me. Like, they say the superintendent of the CBE is the only employee that we actually have dealings with. So everything has to go through the superintendent. So the transparency, I would be answering phone calls and emails personally and not giving the standardized response in emails. I love to engage with the parents and the students, as well as the teachers. I'm all for teacher salaries, and that includes educational assistants.
From Susan Vukadinovich.
Have a look at the CBE's website, Google CBE trustee. We have all of our contact information is posted right there online for anyone in Calgary to reach out to us, whether you're a parent, a guardian, or just an interested member of the public. Reach out to your school board trustee, because that's what public education is about. It's about reflecting back the public. It's about the public involvement in public education. So I always encourage folks to reach out to me. And then the final piece I'll say too, when you're asking me about transparency and responsiveness and accountability, is that because we are a publicly elected board, we hold public board meetings. And every single one of our board meetings are recorded. The YouTube videos of that are available online. Folks can go back as far as they like, and they can have a look at the minutes of every single public board meeting, that's for sure, are available. And then as well, the recordings, if people want to listen to the actual recordings to hear the actual debate. So we are very committed to accountability and transparency as a board. And personally, as a trustee, I am also very committed to being responsive and engaging with parents, guardians, and all Calgarians.
From Lori Iavanelli.
Thank you. I feel as a trustee, I am rooted in faith, grounded in community, and focused on students. The decisions happen at the board table after we're given information and assess that information and ask questions about that information. However, in my 8 years as a trustee, I believe that the best decisions that I make are the ones after being immersed in the community and being engaged with my community, with my schools, with my parishes, so that I can hear the voice and the needs of the constituents that I serve. This role is about children and students. And, you know, I'll use the term loosely when I say babies, but they're young children. And to be able to make a decision that can impact their success is truly a privilege. And I can only make the very best decisions when I'm familiar with the community that I serve and what they need best.
What is your position on the role of schools in addressing issues such as mental health, inclusion, and anti-racism? How would you support initiatives in these areas? From John Nishimura.
I'm all for it. I'm so inclusive. I have a son that is transgender. I believe that the overreach of the current provincial government is way out of line. So I am fighting for all those kids. I'm fighting for racialized kids. I really don't like. I'm not a big fan of the term BIPOC. I think that because we're all racialized, and that kind of groups us all together when we're racialized for different reasons.
From Susan Vukadinovich.
Certainly, school boards do have a role in supporting mental health of students, supporting the inclusion of students, and supporting anti-racism initiatives at the schools, at our schools. And actually, if you Google CBE and any one of those three words, then you'll actually see a web page that will come up that will for each of those areas that you mentioned that will explain in far detail than I could in a podcast about some of the many initiatives and programs. And that's the thing, right? These are important issues at a societal level. It's not one thing, it's a constant commitment. And you can see that we have that commitment to the mental health of our students, to inclusive spaces, to nurturing a sense of belonging and community in our schools, and to making sure that our schools are a place where everyone feels welcome and everyone feels like this is their place.
From Lori Iavanelli.
So mental health is a very hot topic because it's very evident in all of our schools with many of our students. One thing that the Board of Trustees has done, again, this last term, was a motion to hire a district doctor. It's something that we talked about for quite a number of years. We got information about it. We put aside money in the budget, and then the entire board unanimously voted and approved the hiring of a district doctor. That doctor helps teachers, helps students, and addresses some of the mental health concerns. It's just another resource that is available to serve the district and to serve our students. Another area of mental wellness is the advocacy that we've done in securing wellness workers in 21 of our elementary schools. That came at a cost of $1.8 million. And again, it's something that the current Board of Trustees that I'm a part of really advocated for and pushed for.
With ongoing concerns about education funding and class sizes in Alberta, how will you advocate for the resources schools need while working within budget constraints? From John Nishimura.
We need more money in public schooling. There's no doubt about it. We can build all the schools we want, but if we have no teachers to fund to fill those, the classroom sizes are not going to decrease. We need more teachers. We need more EAs. We need more staff, period. The book ban that they just did would not be happening if there wasn't budget cuts all the time. There used to be a well-staffed committee to go over the books. Okay. That doesn't happen anymore. It's a couple of teachers that are appointed by the principal, and they have far too many books to look at.
From Susan Vukadinovich.
Well, at the CBE, we always work with what we get. So we do not ever run a deficit budget. We always find a way to work with what we get. The number one thing, though, that I have to do as a trustee is to try to work on that crucial piece of convincing the provincial government to increase the per-student funding in Alberta. There are different ways to go about that, and the way our current board is going about that, and it's a way that I support wholeheartedly, is to work collegially with our elected officials at the provincial government level. As trustees, we have opportunities to meet in person with the Minister of Education and Childcare. We have opportunities to meet in person with the Premier. We have opportunities to meet in person with the MLAs. That's where we do our advocacy, is at that one-on-one level. The other piece that we do as well is that we try to get out in community and meet with folks across the province, across the city.
From Lori Iavanelli.
So when we talk about equity in student funding, we mean equitable like students across the country, so that each student has the opportunity to learn and grow and meet their own potential and with the resources and supports that they need. As far as class sizes go, again, our teachers do tremendous work in the classrooms. Class sizes are a bit of a problem, but they are not the only problem. The bigger issue currently is classroom complexity. If we could lessen the pressure with more EAs or more classrooms, more teachers, smaller size classrooms, a lot of problems would be solved. Again, it's not just about the number of kids in a classroom, but the number of complexities in a classroom. And we need to be able to meet the teachers at where they're at, meet their needs so that they can meet student needs so that everybody can be successful.
Is there anything else you want people to know? From John Nishimura.
Just the community. I'm an outside of the box thinker. I was a bit of a jock in high school. My kid was a total drama kid. Well, he's queer, so that almost makes sense. So I've seen both sides of it. I was racialized as a kid going to school. I was bullied. Became a bully. I used homophobic slurs all the time, and until grade 8 when I had a gay teacher, and that totally turned my life around. I just thought inclusion has to start early and without a doubt. It's got to, if we can get the kids in grade 4 to 6 learning about community and the differences in people, then it's going to continue on throughout their whole school.
From Susan Vukadinovich.
Well, I wanted to add that I am so proud of schools in Calgary, the Calgary Board of Education schools, because of that sense of community that kids get from attending schools where they, especially kids who are lucky enough to be able to have a school that's walking distance in their neighborhood. That's amazing to be able to walk to and from school. It's what generations of Calgarians have had, and it's something that's still important. We've been working really hard to advocate for new schools at the Calgary Board of Education, and during my first 4-year term, the CBE got approvals for 15 school projects in new neighborhoods, and we're also reopening one new school in the core. So I'm very proud that we are increasing the number of community schools in Calgary, and if I am reelected, then I want to advocate for additional schools to be built in Calgary. In fact, we have 14 additional school projects on our capital plan requests in 2026. And if I am reelected, I'm committed to advocating for all 14 of those additional school projects to be approved.
From Lori Iavanelli.
Being a trustee has been a tremendous privilege and an honor, and I love serving the district that I believe in since 2017. I believe in the precious gift of publicly funded Catholic education. I believe in the over 64,000 students entrusted in our care, and I would be honored to continue to serve the constituents of Wards 6 and 8. It would be my goal, should I be reelected, to protect the gift of publicly funded education so students can continue to learn, pray, and grow in the presence of God. I would advocate and continue to advocate on behalf of students so they are equipped with the resources and programs to ensure individual success. I would continue to listen with compassion, to understand the needs and concerns of constituents, and to effectively bring their perspectives to the board table. And I would continue to collaborate with shareholders by building strong and positive working relationships with the goal of ensuring students so that they have the very best in a publicly funded Catholic education.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of CJSW's Municipal Election coverage. I hope today's conversation brought you a little closer to your community and the people who want to lead it. I'm your host, Emma, and all of the source material for this episode can be found in the episode description. Remember to visit electionscalgary.ca for more information on every candidate and to check your voter registration. Again, we would like to remind listeners that the views expressed in this podcast are those of the candidates and the interview subjects, and not those of CJSW or its staff. Make sure to visit cjsw.com or the CJSW app to check out our voter education episode and our exclusive mayoral debate. Until then, take care, and please vote, follow, and share.